If the tech side of indie publishing makes your brain shut down, you are not alone. Indie authors are expected to be writers, marketers, project managers, all of the things. And sometimes it can be just a tad bit overwhelming. And file prep is confusing for no good reason. So today's goal is clarity over perfection. Hi, my name is Jennifer Gregson. I am a YA indie author and professional formatter who is here to teach you how to make indie publishing easier and more fun. Here's the thing, I feel like file prep and getting things ready for that final push, that last little step in the self publishing journey is just not talked about enough. There's so much misunderstanding. There's so many things happening at one time. There are so many files, right? You think book, one file. But no, there are multiple files to one book project, and it really depends a lot on versions and formats and all of the things. My hope is that by the end of this video, you will know exactly what files you need and why. So let's talk versions, right? So you need to start thinking about, do you want just an ebook, or are you also doing paperback or hardcover? You're going to need different files for each version. So let's start with ebook, which is probably the most popular of the indie authors, correct? Let's start there. So for your internal book, the actual book, the thing that people are going to read on their Kindle or e-reader is an EPUB. It is now industry standard across almost all of the bookstores, if not all of them. So you have Amazon, Apple Books, Google Play Store, Kobo, all of them take EPUB files. And then you might be thinking, okay, great, I'm done. I have an EPUB. You need one more file. You need a JPEG, a really high-res JPEG of your cover design. This is because when you are putting in the files into the bookstores, they ask for that as a separate file. So even though you might have put that into your formatting software, even though you may have already uploaded it, let's say into Vellum, or you've put it into your Word document, most of the bookstores are going to ask for that as a separate file. So if you're doing an ebook, you need EPUB and a JPEG of your cover. Okay, now let's talk about paperback or hardcover. You still only need two files, but it's slightly different. So for the interior file, the thing that people would look at when they open a book, you're going to need a PDF. So instead of a EPUB, you're going to need a PDF file. And you need that PDF file to be formatted correctly so that it looks like the book that you want at the very end, because the bookstores that do print on demand, so Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Ingram Spark, Drafted Digital, you're going to take that file and that's what they're going to use to do their printing. They're not going to do a whole lot on the back end. The other difference is in your cover. For a hardcover or paperback, you need a cover that's long, that's going to encompass the front, the spine, and the back. And they're going to take that file and wrap it around the book. And that is going to be a separate PDF image. Some of them can take high-res PNGs, but double, triple check. Most of them want a high-res, really nice PDF version of that cover file. And you're going to need to make sure you leave room for a ISBN number or barcode on the back. Most stores will have templates that you can use to either give your cover designer or put into like Canva or whatever graphic design software you're using to make your cover. And then you'll make sure that all the dimensions are right. When you upload, they're going to give you previews so that you can adjust things. But those are the files you need for paperback and or hardcover. You need two different PDF files, one for the interior and one for the cover. So what I like to do to organize is to make sure I have a file for my book title, and within that folder, I have ebook and paperback. And then if a hardcover, that's a third folder. Then within those folders, you can put all of the documents, all of the files that you need. This makes it really easy when you go to upload. You can just open the folder you need and drop, upload all of the things, and you don't have to hunt and peck. So that's a little tip. Try to make things organized. So book title would be the folder name, and then within that, you'd have an ebook, a paperback, and possibly a hardcover. Okay, so that's kind of all the big files that you need, but here's some little things that I want you to keep on hand as you upload to the bookstores, right? You're going to need the back blurb or the synopsis somewhere on hand. And for Amazon, you need it formatted. There's a website that you can go to that will help you with this. I will drop it in the description box below. It's a free resource that will help you. You just drop it in and put in the formatting, and it gives you the HTML codes. It's super nice, and I've never had any problems with it. I've used it for all 3 of my books. It's great. You need to know your categories and keywords, and I have a video coming about that, so hit subscribe. That'll be next week, I think. You need to have your ISBN numbers if you are providing those to the bookstore. If you are not providing those, if you are letting the bookstore give you those, that's fine. But once the stores give those to you, write them down somewhere. Copy and paste them into an info sheet, into some sort of document where you're keeping track of everything, your launch date, your categories and keywords, right? Make sure that those are written down somewhere so either you know what you're providing or what they are providing for your books. Then you need to make sure you know your name, either your author name and you have it written down exactly how you want it, or your pen name, you want your imprint name, your publishing name, all of those things. Make sure you have those close because all of the bookstores are going to need that information when you upload. If you have a logo for your publishing, sometimes they need that, so make sure you know where that is. Basically, this is all of your author imprint paperwork. As someone who is indie publishing, you are the publisher, even if you just use your own name. And so making sure that you have the files that you need on hand is part of the business. And it's not complicated. It's just there's a lot of moving pieces, and each format of your book needs something completely different. The nice thing about most formatting software is it will sort of export all of the main files that you need for the interior, right? So it'll give you the EPUB, it'll give you a Mobi file. Amazon used to use that. Some software still give it to you just in case, and it will give you the PDF for the paperback. But the files that you need for the covers are going to come from either the graphic design software that you're using to design your own cover or from your graphic designer, and they should know what file type you need, but you should also know so that you can communicate with them easier. You need a JPEG for the ebook, and you need a PDF for the paperback or the hardcover. I feel like this is one of those things that as you go through the process and you learn, it sort of becomes ingrained in you. You sort of know what you need, but it's also really, really helpful to create a checklist. Just write down, okay, for ebook, I need these 2 files. For paperback, I need these 2 files. And then you can write down all the other things that you need for paperback, like the trim size and all of that. And I have videos about that. So I'll put those in the box below about trim size. But you'll need that for the paperback, like things like that. Keep all of that handy so that when you go to upload, you're not stressed out. It really is pretty simple. It's confusing for no good reason because each version of your book needs completely different things. And I understand that can be very confusing. So hopefully this video has given you some insight into what you need and why, and how to keep yourself a little more organized so that when you go to upload that first book, you're not stressed. And if this feels like a lot or you're in that beginning indie author journey stage, I invite you to take my quiz. What kind of author vibe are you giving off? It will give you tips and resources depending on what you answer so that you can sort of take this journey with a little hand holding if that's needed. So check that out in the box below and then let me know in the comments, which one are you? And if you are in the trenches and this is something that's going to be sort of on your mind in the next few weeks or months, then subscribe to my channel. I have some more stuff coming that's going to help you with that pre-launch and launch portions of your book. So hit subscribe, follow along, and keep writing.